Okay, here's a video on how to get good quality images from a Google image search. Often if you're trying to get a good image for an art class or any other class, you might do a search. I'm going to type in something here. I go to images, and you'd get all kinds of images. But as you may have experienced, sometimes you might copy an image like this, put it in your science project on eyes or whatever it is, and find out that it shows up blurry. So one way to remedy that is to limit your images to really large, good quality images. Often you could go here at the top of the screen to there's settings and tools here. If you click on tools, in the past you've always had these options to sort by size. You can see I do have it here. If I click on large size images, that removes all smaller images and only gives us large, high quality images that are built out of lots of pixels. And that means that they will be clearer than a smaller file built out of fewer pixels. You could also choose color here. You could sort by black and white images, type of images. But sometimes lately, Google limits these searches. I don't know why, but they do. So one of the ways to resolve that, if you can't access these tools, usually you'd click on tools here and you'd have these options available to you. Another one is if you were doing a search for a particular image and you didn't get it here by searching for large images, you could say medium images, and that will show you actually medium and large size images, and it'll weed out and it will not show you small images. And if you still can't find what you're looking for, you might go to any size. But mixed in with these will be small size images that really may not show up all that well. So we really always want to look for large size images first to use if possible, most of the time. Sometimes you can't access the tools here and make these choices. Sometimes you'll go over here and click on this and it'll be grayed out. You won't have the option to do it. So what you'll do is if you do a search up here and you type in, I'm going to go back to all here. If you just go in here, I'm going to actually do it by speaking it in if I can. And if I did a search and said Google Advanced Image Search, that will take me here. And again, I went back to all, not images, but all. Here's Google Advanced Image Search, and that takes you to this, which is basically the same search. So now if I went and I said I could say full color, black and white, any color, whatever. You have a lot more options here to limit your search. Again, most of the time what we'd be doing is going here and saying, I'm looking for large size files, but you do have a lot more choices here in terms of the type of image, or you can restrict the search by an exact phrase or something that contains certain words. But generally we'd say, okay, do I want black and white images, large images, or color images, large images? But now I'm going to do this. And now I have my search. Then, let's say I find an image that I want. You can copy from by clicking on this, but we found is that's not always the best way to get good quality images, because these are actually called thumbnail images, and they may be a reduced file size because they're like a preview. So if you click on the image, it'll show up in the sidebar here, large, and then you can right-click and either save the image, right-click on it and say Save Image As, or copy the image. In this case, I'm going to copy this image. So for this project, I'm actually going to go up here and do a search. There's different searches that I'll probably ask you to do. I'm going to say face card antique. You can see it's looking for large files, full color images. So what I'd like you to do for this project is you're going to find some images that you think are interesting. There's a lot of junk always, but and I may have to actually change my search words just to kind of refine what I want, but let's try the face card. So let's say that you use this guy. So I click on the image, get over here in the sidebar, right click, I'm going to say copy the image. Then I'm going to open a Google Doc. Type in face card inspirations. And then I can either hit Command V to paste it in, or I could right click. Usually I right click and hit paste. Probably not paste without formatting. Just straight paste. Your image comes in, and you could resize it if you need to. So what I'd like you to do is collect maybe 12 to 15 or 12 or more images that you think would inspire you. What I really want you to look at is how a lot of these old cards, the drawing is often very simplified. So if you look very closely at some of these images, it would let me. Come on, be nice. And you look at how they're designed. Some of them are quite complex, but often the old cards, they're just very simple kind of line drawing for the face, a lot of patterns. And if you look at them carefully, I'm sure you've seen this before, you know, there is the K for the king, or Q for the queen, or J for the joker. And there's the suit. You know, what you'll see these days is, you know, hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. But in a lot of antique cards, if you look at really old ones, we could even try, how about face card medieval? You may find some cards that actually have different suits, not necessarily clubs, spades, diamonds, or hearts. And in fact, you could make up your own when you do this. Again, here's a good example. This doesn't even look like a very old card, but you can see the face is pretty simple lines, just few lines for the nose, the mouth, mustache, repeated lines for his hair. But there is some interesting patterns, and it is symmetrical. It's symmetrical, you know, the bottom side is symmetrical and flipped. So to start to design this, if I was working on this, I would probably just design the upper half. And we'll figure out later how to, you know, flip it and reclaim that same drawing information for the bottom half, because obviously it is symmetrical top to bottom and mirrored. It's mirrored and flipped. So what I'd like you to do is look around. You could use things like face card. How about you could limit it? Let's say you want to do the queen. So again, what you want to do is collect, I would say, at least, you know, 12 or more images that you think are interesting, might use as inspiration. And you don't want to copy these things. You really want to sort of take in the information on something like this. And, you know, if you have 10 images, you'll want to be able to pull in that information. All goes into your brain. You soak it up like a sponge. Your brain kind of processes it. Maybe you like, you know, something from one card, you know, a particular type of design, but you like the style the face is drawn in from another image. And then you find that another one has, you know, some kind of interesting details, or the crown is interesting, or the way the suit is shown is interesting. And kind of combine those into your own version. Not that you even copy those elements from different things, but you say, oh, you know, this looks interesting to me, the way this is done. How about old? So here's another thing to consider. Sometimes people will go, oh, this looks pretty good. You know, they look at something like this and they find something that looks interesting. But the truth is, even though this is a very large file, you can see the number here, 4,032 pixels by 2,039 pixels. That's a big image. So if I copied that, let's see what it does. Copy that, go back to my over here. Sometimes it's a good, after you put in an image, to hit the return or enter, give it a little space to be able to maneuver these. Now, the question is whether if I zoomed in on, yeah, that's not bad, it's fairly clear. But if you're looking at just one section of this, you're only looking at, like, you know, an 80th of this entire image. So, you know, if I crop this down, actually, I'll try it. And can I crop this image? The question is, if I crop it down, let's say I was trying to look at one queen in here. Will that still be clear? You can see it's actually starting to get blurry the more I increase it, because the whole image was big, except it disappeared. The whole image was big, but when you take just a little piece of it out, instead of 2,000 by 3,000 pixels, now you're looking at a much more limited group of pixels. By the time I expand this up a lot, it's going to get, it's going to go away. It's going to get blurrier and blurrier. The more and more blurry, the more I increase the size. I think it just went to the next page when I did that. There it is. So still not too bad. You can get some detail off of that. So what you're going to do is do that. You'll do some research. You'll do some searches. I'll put some ideas for the searches in a Google Doc, and you are going to save it. You could save it. The name could be your name, the date, and then you could put in face card inspirations. But always put your name and the date in the file name. And then you can submit that on Canvas. I hope that helps. Bye.